Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. Tonight's webinar is Introduction to Price Action Trading. We're going to start to understand, hopefully by the end, market structure. Okay, so welcome to this ACY Securities webinar. Before we move along, if you could read through the disclaimer as we're going through the webinar. If you have any questions, just put them into the chat box or the question box. We're both open. So please do read through the risk disclaimer. All right, so we're talking about price action trading or an introduction to it tonight. So there are no indicators. Just looking at price action and the support and resistance that gets formed from price action to start to understand where price may be going to and moving away from. All right, so before we get there, a bit about myself. If you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm a senior market strategist and trading mentor here at ACY Securities. And I'm a full-time trader, been mentoring clients for 10 years or more. Been trading the Forex market now for more than 15 years. And if you want to contact me, my email is on screen. As well, through the week, you can connect with me at our website, acy.com market news tab, at our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia, and you can connect with me personally on Twitter or LinkedIn. As well, in our Telegram channel, you can connect with me there if you've got access. If you haven't got access, just email Nathan Bray. I'll put his details in the chat in a moment. He'll give you access. If you want to get access to my chart layouts and templates, so the layouts I'm going to be using tonight, just contact Nathan. I'll put his details in the chat now. In fact, I'll put them in later when I give you tonight's presentation document. I'll give you that later. So let's not hold back anymore. Let's get into tonight's presentation. Those just coming in late, if you can read through the disclaimer. All right, let's move along. So we're going to cover these topics. So we're getting to the first one. Oh, I've got some more things we're going to cover. So we're going to cover all these things, but we'll just take them one by one. All right, so let's talk about market structure. Market structure, its basic form is the swing highs and swing lows that form on a chart. These swing highs and lows create support and resistance levels and form the market structure, okay? And understanding the market structure will help you identify the key trading levels to trade around, and just understanding how it forms. If you keep watching the charts, you should start to see how it forms. And if you see how it formed last time in a certain way, it can well form exactly the same the next time around, okay? So that's where then hindsight becomes your foresight if you start to understand how price unfolds. All right, so by studying market structure, hindsight, as I said, becomes your foresight as you analyze a live chart. Now, I can go through this presentation with you today. You only get the maximum benefit if you decide that you want to learn and apply and do, okay? Just attending tonight isn't going to probably change your trading one bit too much unless you start to apply everything moving forward. All right, so let's talk about what support is. So I've got some diagrams of structure that repeat all the time. And if you go to your chart, you should be able to look at your charts and ask yourself, what structure is this particular instrument or currency pair that you're watching? What structure is it forming right now? And if you know what the structure is, you should have an idea of where price will be going. So his support could be a double, triple bottom area, but support's a level where price doesn't want to move below, okay? So where you're seeing a double bottom form, triple bottom form, potentially, or starting to hold, that's where you want to be looking for whatever your setup is to buy. So when you see that kind of structure where this comes down here to maybe form a double bottom, triple bottom, it doesn't matter if when you're looking at the trend of the chart, when price action is going down here, the trend of the chart's down. But this is the important area on the chart. All right, resistance, you can have triple tops, double tops form at resistance. And it's worth noting all these examples, I would be looking for this structure on the weekly, daily, or 4-hour chart, even the monthly, okay? I don't look at structure too much on lower time frames because that can break really easy, but weekly, daily, 4-hour structure is what I focus on. All right, so when you're seeing your double, triple tops, weekly, daily, 4-hour chart, have the anticipation at those levels that you should be looking for a setup to sell for a movement back down. Now, this kind of structure at the moment is forming on a number of pairs. Pound dollar, New Zealand dollar, for example. All right, broken support comes new resistance. Okay, weekly, day, 4-hour chart. We break below support. At some point, price will probably come back to that level and it will be resistance. So at that area, that is where you need to look for a setup to sell. Broken resistance becomes new support. Break above resistance becomes new supports. Again, expect price to hold there to move up. Now, this could be a weekly chart, for example. And this is one test on the weekly chart here. However, on the 4-hour chart, you might have a double bottom there or a triple bottom forming on the structure on the 4-hour chart. So you could be seeing a certain structure on a weekly chart. It could be broken resistance becomes support. But then on the 4-hour chart, you may be seeing a double, triple bottom forming. Structure within structure. All right, you might just be seeing an uptrend unfolding. Higher high to higher low, higher high to higher low. So as the new higher low is potentially coming in, this is where you should be looking for your setup to buy. So if you're seeing higher high to higher low to a higher high, when this moves down, expect it to form a higher low. And I'd be looking at 62% level or the 79% level for the market to hold. And if this was, for example, the weekly chart, coming back down, say to here to a 62 level, you might be seeing a double bottom on the day chart or a triple bottom on a 4-hour chart. Okay, as you look at the structure. All right, so a downtrend is opposite, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. So those areas, you could be looking up here for failure at resistance here, but then when the trend changes to a lower low, you expect a lower high to form. Often comes in at 62, 79% retracement. All right, comes down to another lower low, expect another lower high to form. So in that area, you're looking for the opportunity to trade. I'm just looking at the chart on my other screen because I'm watching the Aussie yen. Inflation went up today. All right, consolidation. Now, 60% of the time, the market is in consolidation on some form of time frame. Okay, so you're going to see this all the time. Lots of time on the 4-hour chart, for example, and the day chart. So when you're seeing it, you have to trade it like the structure is. At the bottom of the range, you need to look for your setup to buy. If you, say, trading down from up here and you're in a short, do not expect that that will break. If that starts to turn around and you're short, you need to get out. Don't think, okay, I think it's going to break support and you're just holding your trade because you've got it in your head that support's going to break. The market will be right all the time. And if support holds, then price will probably go all the way back up to the top. So On the bottom of the range, you need to look for a setup to buy. And at the top of the range, you need to look for a setup to sell. All right, so if you see that structure, where is price within that structure? Is it getting close to the top or the bottom? That should be telling you what you need to do as a trader. All right, so I've got some examples of charts here where I've got a blank chart, and then I'm just going to put some lines in, and then you can start to see the importance of putting in the correct support and resistance, which will start to show you structure. So we'll go through some, these are good 6 months old now, but we'll go to the live charts. All right, so you're going to get this presentation, and I highly recommend that you spend the time studying what's drawn on the chart. Now, here's a very good example, number of good examples here, but when this is a weekly chart, when you come up to a weekly top, okay, I'm just going to have to get a drawing tool so my mouse doesn't disappear. All right, I know you can't see my mouse at all, so all right, see my mouse now. I've got a highlight. So there's an area of weekly resistance here. I'm just going to talk about what I'm seeing as price comes up. For 3 weeks, see that that week comes up to the level. The next week tries to trade through. And then the next week tries to trade through as well. But we keep false breaking there. Now that on a daily chart is going to start to look like some or a 4-hour chart, a triple top. All right, because you've got 3 weeks, as you break it down into a lower time frame, it's going to start to look like a triple top, because each week's high will probably be a swing point on the day chart. It'll definitely be a swing point on a 4-hour chart, and you're going to start to see a triple top forming up there. All right, and that's the thing that starts to give it away. But if you're seeing 3 weeks holding at a line of resistance here, structure on lower time frames will be starting to change and show you that it's holding there. And this is where you would want to be looking to sell up here. All right, you need to start to believe that, yes, that structure is going to hold and you're selling at the top. Now, price comes all the way down here, comes back to the last weekly low here. And you're going to find this all the time. It might trade through a bit, but see that blue candle there? See how that week touches it and it trades up all week. Next week tries to trade through. Next week holds there and moves back up. So again, 3 weeks, that area there is the exact same thing here. There's 3 weeks there trying to move through and it can't. There's 3 weeks there trying to move through the low of support and it can't, and it comes back up. Where does it come back up to? That weekly top. Holds, and then we move through. Where does it come back to? Almost comes back to that weekly area of support, but it holds at this weekly area of support that was. So broken support becomes resistance. So see how resistance holds, broken support becomes resistance. All right. See that week comes down to that weekly support, holds for the week before dropping through. Comes back up almost to that low, but comes back up to this high over here and creates a double top there on the weekly over time. So it comes back down to weekly support here, tries to move through. If it can't move through, it will probably then move back up, moves all the way back up to the previous high here. All right, so then it breaks below, comes back up to become broken support, becomes resistance. So on the weekly chart there, you can see support holding, resistance holding, broken support becomes new resistance in that downtrend. So all these areas here is a prime example of where this is the euro dollar. Like in 2022, that was just a perfect level to look for an opportunity to get short. All right. So if you can start to see this on the chart, you should be able to then have a clear idea of where you need to be looking for your setups. Now that's a weekly chart. There's a blank day chart, and then the lines drawn in. It just works exactly the same. Doesn't matter what time frame you're on. All right, hopefully I'm coming through because my participant panel here has gone a bit skew with, so hopefully I'm coming through okay. Maybe somebody could just send me a quick chat to make sure that you can all hear me okay, because my attendee list has kind of disappeared. So hopefully I'm coming through okay. All right, let's go through this day chart. All right, David saying it's all good. All right, I can see I've got attendees, but I can't see their names anymore. They seem to have disappeared, so I don't know why, but as long as you can all hear me. So let's go through the structure here. See how we have a top up here. We come all the way up and we hold. We come up for a retest. So at that point there, there's the potential for a triple top to form. That is exactly where you should be looking on your lower time frame for a setup to sell. All right. Then we move down. This area forms resistance. We move down. See that next blue candle comes up to broken support, becomes resistance through there. Now that level of support that was is the exact same level of over here as well. All right, comes down to support and holds for a bit. We break below, it becomes resistance, and then becomes resistance again. And really this is a false break, but it does come up to that level over here. So sometimes that can occur, but once you see that start to reverse back down and gets below this area, you're looking for an opportunity to sell because it's false breaking resistance. Resistance is becoming resistance as it should be, and we sell down. So how we move below support, comes all the way back up to be resistance. Break below that level of support, comes all the way back up to another level of support there, become resistance. Here we consolidate, form a channel. All right, so overall downtrend here, so overall trend here is down. So when I'm seeing a channel form and the long-term trend here is quite clearly down, down, I'm looking at the tops here of the channel to sell, to trade down. All right. Right, 4-hour chart can be a bit more consolidatory on the 4-hour chart than the other time frames, depending on what's going on. But structure is just the same. All right. It's still the same pair, and we know on the high time frames that the long-term trend is down. All right, so when you're seeing consolidation, like up here, when you see that fall down and it comes back up to here, a previous area of resistance that we false broke, with the high time frame trends down, this is the area you want to look for resistance to hold, to move down. Make another top here, come all the way back up to form some resistance up here. To retest resistance there, we actually spike up to the next level. But when you see that rejection at 2 levels of 4-hour resistance in consolidation, it's very unlikely this is going to move through. It's very highly likely it's going to move down to the next level of support, which is over here. See how we break support, becomes resistance for the movement down, to come down to test this level of support. All right, so rather range bound at the top there, but it all makes sense if you take the time to study. And if you take the time to study it historically, as the market is putting in the candles live, hopefully you can start to anticipate what's going to happen. All right, Now, there are some more examples on the charts. I want to go to the live charts and see what's going on and just take you through some live charts of more current price actions so you can start to think about what might be occurring over the next few trading days. But there's another example here for the pound on weekly, daily, and 4-hour charts. You can just go through that on your own when you download it. So let me get rid of my highlighted mouse. And I'll put in the chat tonight's presentation, Nathan's contact details. There we go. All right, so we may as well go to the charts, and I'm gonna go to my 12 pairs price action charts. Okay. So if you don't have my charts, just get Nathan to give you them. He'll set them up as well if you're really technically challenged. All right, so we'll have a look at the euro dollar. Everybody should be familiar with the euro dollar if you trade the Forex market. And I like to look at structure from the highest time frame, the monthly. And then I build my way down. All right, so in terms of structure at the moment, in terms of trend structure, we're lower top to lower bottom. We're coming out here. So this is a rally. It's quite a lengthy rally, but it's a rally on the monthly chart. Right now, it is at some old structure, an old low, 108.79. Now, I don't know if price is going to hold at that level long term, but what you want to, if you can start to see price testing a level and holding a level, then the lower time frames, if it is going to reverse down from that level, structure will start to form to tell you the story that we're starting to turn to the downside at that level. All right, so let's go to the weekly chart. Trend on the weekly chart is up. Structure is just high tops and bottoms up here at the moment. Okay. High bottom to higher top. And we know that's a monthly low there that we're trading headlong into at the moment. Day chart structure is in an uptrend, okay? Higher bottom to higher top. Now I know we're at, so I'm just going to hypothetically discuss what could occur and what will change my mind to this being an uptrend on the day chart. So at the moment, I know that we're into maybe a good level of resistance from the monthly. Let's go back to the monthly. Now the monthly trend is going to maintain itself, right? We've moved down from that high to that low, and we're coming up. Now, if the monthly trend isn't going to change, at some point, it's going to put in a lower top and move down. So at the moment, in my mind, this is a very logical level that could occur at if it wanted to. All right. Now, if I start to see the day chart change to a downtrend at this level, that would, in my mind, start to maybe cement the idea that a lower top could form here on the monthly for a long-term move down. All right. So combining each time frame together and theorizing about what structure could be forming long-term. Now, at the moment, the weekly trend is up and the day trend is up, but we are having a struggle here at this level. Now, we could move over and above this level over time, but maybe over the next week, if we suddenly move below that low, all right, we could come down to this area of day support. And if we came down to there, I would expect maybe a bounce to come up and maybe put in a lower top. Because if we're coming up from a lower bottom, bouncing off support, we're maybe coming up then to put in a lower top. So as we're coming up this way, I'll be looking there for that to start to falter. And then I'll be looking on the 4-hour chart for a turnaround in that area. Now, at the moment, the day trend is up, so I don't know if it's going to change. I'm just showing you how I look at price and how I would start to look at structure changing. And at the moment, structure here on the daily isn't changing. Let's have a look at the 4-hour. 4-hour is rather consolidatory at the moment. It was down yesterday, lower top, lower bottom. It's moved up to a higher top. All right, it's not the prettiest price action in the world at the moment on the 4-hour chart. So, but if I was looking, let's say we do get a decline down from this level at the moment, a very good level of 4-hour support is, from a structure point of view, is here. See how that top became support, 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 support. All right. So if this was to trade down to that level, all right, that would be a level where I would expect price to turn around at. So this would be an area where I would then look on my 15-minute chart for a clear opportunity to trade up to the upside. All right, to potentially come back up to these highs here. All right, now at the moment, Eurodollar is a bit messy here at the moment. Now, what I could also look for in terms of structure on the 4-hour chart, let's say we do fail at 108.79 over the next couple of trading days. We could, if we move down below that low, then structure-wise, there's my monthly level of resistance. I would look for this to come up to form a lower top there, to move down to there, and I would expect a bounce to come in at that level, could come up to form another lower top, and then we might move through that level in the next rundown. Okay, so at the moment, the 4-hour structure there isn't giving me any sign of what I want to do or not in terms of buying or selling. But what I can glean at the moment is monthly trend is down from a structure point of view. Weekly structure, day structure is up from a trend point of view. But we may get a structure change on the daily or 4-hour chart soon at that monthly level if we can't get above it. All right. So at the moment, for me, if I was trading this, if it's the only pair I could trade in the world, I wouldn't be doing anything at the moment because I'm not seeing anything that I like structurally as I'm moving down the time frames. But I am at a level that I potentially like, but we haven't changed trend yet on, let's say, the daily or the 4-hour chart. Now let's go to the pound dollar because this is a little bit more structurally appealing. All right, so on the monthly chart, trend structure is down, lower top to a lower bottom. We are rallying back up, and there's a level of old support there, an old support low at 123.91. That could hold the market. We may see structure on the lower time frames change. Okay, so structure on the weekly is up at the moment. However, we're up to a level of weekly resistance. We could form a double top there, especially if we don't want to move through 124.47. Now, if you knew that top was there, you could have traded there this week. It went up to, I think, 124.48. All right, to the day chart, trend structure's up. However, I do have daily resistance just here, and we came up to it there, and we have turned around. So we may be forming a very minor double top there on the day chart, and we may be forming a weekly chart double top. So what, in some form or fashion here, we have this kind of scenario, okay? Double top on the weekly and a double top potentially on the daily. All right. So in this area, if I think this is forming double tops, What do I see on the 4 hour? See how the 4 hour came up to that top? Well, we come up to the weekly top. All right. See how that 4 hour candle rejects. Once that's rejected, you need to make a decision. Is this reversing? This is the area, as you start breaking down the time frames, where you want to look for your setup to trade the opposite way, because you might have a weekly double top forming in structure rise. You may have a day chart double top forming structure rise. You may have a double top forming now. See how when we came up to that level earlier, we formed a double top on the 4 hour, broke down. We may be forming a double top here on the 4 hour when we come up, and then we break down to a lower bottom, comes up to a lower top. That's a 62% retracement. And then we move through the lows. So at the moment, structure down the 4 hour chart is down. So your trading opportunities should be to be looking to the downside when you starting to think that there's a weekly double top forming, a day chart double top forming. 4 hour structure turns to down. At the moment, it wouldn't matter to me if we broke above that high and turned the 4 hour structure up. I would be watching up there for if price got up to that level. I would definitely be looking at that level up there to hold for an opportunity to trade down. Okay, because it's already failed there. Go to your day chart. It's already failed there once, twice, 3 times. So if it got back up there again, there's a high chance it will reverse down. Now, it may only reverse down for 30, 50 pips, or it could reverse down for 200, 300 pips. All right, at the moment, and just this week, so I'm on the 4 hour chart, when we came up to the top, we have reversed down at the moment 180 pips. Okay, that was where you should have been watching at the start of the week. And got something coming from Edwin, looking at the last high of yesterday of failure, and also that resistance at 124.47. All right, so those levels that you're watching. Yep, up there, up here for sure. You know, you got a top here, a top here, and a top here. So in terms of 4 hour resistance, where definitely the sellers are sitting to engage at the moment, right? I would be looking from that top to that top to that top. So that whole area there, Edwin, that would be your window where resistance can come into. We formed that resistance over the last week up there at the higher levels of resistance. So anywhere in there would be a great area to watch for failure. And if you can start to plan your charts out, where is the best place on the chart to look for a sell over the next 24 to 48 hours? Up there. Now, price might not get there, but that's the high probability area. Where's the high probability area for a buy at the moment? Down here. Okay. You've got triple bottoms on the 4 hour chart here. All right, so if price was to come down there, and then you started to see price hold the 50-minute chart reverse down there, there'd be a high chance it would start to move back up the range. Doesn't mean say if we start to see a downtrend forming on the day chart that will change the downtrend, but that would just be a very logical level to see price action in the short term bounce back up. All right, now let's have a look at New Zealand dollar. Very similar to the pound at the moment. All right, here's the monthly. Trend on the monthly is down. Lower top to a lower bottom. This is a rally at the moment. Where's it rallying back to? Monthly old support 65.27. What has the high of the month been? $65.29. Okay. can only get 2 pips above there. So what that means is that the large traders are looking at these levels and holding the market. So this is a rally up here at the moment, back to monthly resistance. On the weekly chart, we have a number of structure areas. That's a weekly low, which is the monthly low. We have this weekly top here that we've false broke, fell down. Now the trend structure's up, but we've got structure here that we keep false breaking. We have a monthly structure here that we can't move through. Yesterday, for this week's trading, I think we're a pip short. Day trend is up here at the moment. Last week we came up to test that level. Then we fell down. We came all the way back up to pretty much the same level within 1 or 2 pips. And now there's a daily top there as well. So let's put a line across there. Hopefully you're getting the idea that up here it's strong resistance. I know the day chart trend is up, but you've got structure. You're trading straight into structure, okay? Trading straight into a weekly top and a monthly bottom. All right. So that combination is going to be strong resistance. Now, price can move through there for sure, and it may well move through there. But what you need to start to understand is, though, price comes up, it sells off. Price comes up, it sells off. Eventually, it might move through, or it may right now be forming on the weekly chart a double top, on the daily chart a double, triple top. All right. So if we start to see the 4-hour structure now, let's have a look at the 4-hour structure. 4-hour structure is still up. It hasn't got like a lower bottom or a lower top at the moment. But what you can see up here is, like I just kind of drew in on the 4-hour chart on the euro dollar, there's my monthly level, there's my weekly level. All right. This is the higher time frame resistance level just there. So see how we just put top, so we keep putting tops in there on the 4-hour chart. All right, so that's the area that you should be selling at, in between the weekly and the monthly resistance there. Be sold here on the test, be sold here on the test, you'd be seeing profit. Price cannot move above that level at the moment. Now it may do over the next few days, but any more movement into that area, this is just prime selling area at the moment. Because it's formed that top just there. False broke here. False broke there twice. It doesn't like it there. All right. Now, if price was to move down at the moment on the 4-hour chart, I can see that there'd be a lot of support down here. Four-hour low, 4-hour low, 4-hour low, 4-hour low. Okay. I would expect there to be 4-hour support here. We have a 4-hour double bottom there. So if we do start to sell off, the levels where price is going to bounce at are those levels there, because that's where you've got structure formed. Okay. Now, on the 4-hour chart, structure can quite easily break if it wants to. If we get into a significant downtrend, this structure can easily break. But when you're seeing price move down and then bounce back up, it's because it's coming down to a level of structure where there's orders placed, so it will bounce up. And then it will move down, it might break through this structure, it comes to the next level where there's orders and it bounces up. So that's why price is continually pinging up and down. It's playing off where the structure has been forming over the last few days, or maybe the last week on the 4-hour chart. Okay. And if you start to see that and understand it, then you'll start to understand where you should be targeting for your profits, where you might be looking to trade up or down from. Okay. All right, let's just go through one more. All right, let's go through the euro yen. There's a monthly top, 137.495. Where did price come down to this month? That top. All right, so actually on the euro yen, this is in an uptrend at the moment. It is struggling at that resistance area there. There's structure there. Just putting that roughly. I might put this one in exactly because this is where price is, so that's in exactly. All right, weekly trend is down, lower top to lower bottom. Where's price coming up to this week? 142.555. Hasn't quite got there this week. But what you'll see is once we moved, we have over the last month, 4 weeks, come up and held there. All right. Now the trend on the weekly here is down. And weekly resistance is just here. On the daily, the structure is, it's in some form of range here at the moment. All right. So the logical level to watch for failure, and it might not get there because you can see that we've had a negative day yesterday and we're having a negative day today. In Telegram, I posted these up here at these highs, but we may not get there. So I would be watching this structure area up here. Well, anywhere from those two highs to the weekly level is where I'd prefer price to get to before I'd engage. Well, if you're asking me, the indicator has not highlighted that RL you draw on the weekly chart. Just there. I'm drawing my line from that low there. I'm not drawing it from that high point there. I'm drawing from that low there. So that old support low there, 142.55 is my resistance level that I've used to draw from. I'm not drawing from a high, I'm drawing from that bottom just there on the weekly chart. All right, so on the day chart, these two tops down to that weekly low there is where that would be my most preferred area to look for price to get to fail. It doesn't look like it's going to get there based on the last 2 trading days. All right, but that's where I'll be watching for price to get to. The level I want to just discuss is this level of day support. $138,008, so it's the figure, structural form at the figure. Last week, down here on the 4-hour chart, we had structure forming before we moved up the best part of 400 pips. Okay, so whilst this is very range bound, there's been a 400 pip movement up from the bottom there. So this is in a range for our chart. All right, so we have a big range. So last week, we came from this day chart low. Say we came down here and just missed it. Went up. Now, as price is coming down, you should have the anticipation that if we do trade down to day support here, it could hold because it held here. We actually held just short. So even though that trades through a little bit, even if you waited for this blue candle to finish before you decide to click buy, by the time that blue candle finishes, you've got there a triple bottom forming at daily support. Triple bottom forming on the 4-hour chart at daily support. So that structurally should be telling you that we're going up. And, and I would have the anticipation that we could move up to that high or these highs. Now, we haven't been able to get up to these highs, and what's starting to form here is 4-hour structure that we can't move above. All right. Now, if you're thinking that we may be forming some kind of structure here that could hold, double top, triple top. All right. See there on the 50, see how we may be forming a, let's forget that this candle is all the way down here. So when we're up here, maybe seeing a fraction of negativity at this 4-hour double top area here, you should be dropping down to your 50-minute chart to see if the 50-minute chart is starting to tell you that maybe we want to reverse. Now, say we're in consolidation there on the 4-hour chart. And it's not a coincidence that that support's forming from that top. It's just structure. But on the 50-minute chart, see the same consolidation structure here. See at the top here on the 50-minute chart that we started to form an area of highs. So once you start to see all this consolidation and rejection up here, and this is just a lower time structure forming, maybe telling you that we're holding up there now and we want to move back down. Where are we moving back down from? The 4-hour resistance area. Okay. So there you get a micro area of structure on the 50-minute chart forming to then break to the downside. Now, at the moment, we're trading all the way down to 4 hours support. See on the 50-minute chart at the 4-hour low, there are all these 50-minute lows. This would be an obvious level at the moment for the market to have a breather at, because we've heavily sold down for one, and there will be orders sitting at these lows. So in the short term, I would anticipate this would bounce up. All right. Long term, well, depending what the week wants to bring at the moment, we are still in consolidation there on the 4-hour chart. All right. So where you would anticipate support the market could bounce from is that top and bottom. All right. But from a daily chart perspective, last 2 trading days here are very negative. This one especially because it's false broke the top and it's reversing. So I would anticipate this is moving down long term to support. On the 4 at the moment, it'd be nice. It might not do this for you, but it'd be nice if this broke below, came up, and went like so. Okay, now I don't know what price will do. You just have to watch it. But hopefully you can start to understand what was going on there. And that today was the area where you should have been looking to construct a sell. All right. Now, for me is saying use different colors for different time frames, but I've only got so much time. If you're doing it yourself, you can use different colors for different time frames. But I mean, up here at the top, this is daily. Okay. You can do a color coordinate thing if you want to, but for me, it's all the same thing. This is resistance up. This is a resistance up here that I'll be watching to sell down from. This is a resistance that I'll be watching to sell down from. It's all the same thing. But you can color coordinate it if you want to. All right. Now, if you at the moment you've got like 3 or 4 indicators on your chart, you're using indicators to tell you where you should be trading. They're always going to lag. The more that you can start to understand price action and the structure that it's forming and the structure that's trading within, the better trader you're going to be long term. Because no indicator is going to tell you it's going to turn when it gets to an area, because they're always lagging. All right. And, you know, just to show you the importance of structure, here's the New Zealand yen. Where is it failing at today? And I'll color coordinate because Alif may want me to color coordinate. So I'm going to use that for my daily resistance there. All right. And I can't really put another color in. It's all the same area. All right. I could refine things if I wanted to. I could go, let me just, daily resistance is that level. And all right, that's 4-hour resistance there. So we're trading to 4-hour resistance and daily resistance from over here. See how when we get into there, we keep rejecting, we start to consolidate to turn around. All right. I don't know, two colors to me seems a bit confusing, but whatever works best for the individual. All right, so there's the resistance area that we'll be watching. It's really the resistance forming from that high up to that high. As you break it down to a 4-hour chart, there's micro tops in there as well. But that's happening there. Back in time. You got a fraction short of the area, but should be obvious why this rejects there to move up, and then you would be watching that low. So the next low comes in fractionally higher to that low, but that's the area you should be watching for reversal back up. All these yen pairs are looking very similar at the moment, except for the Aussie yen because of the inflation figures today. Here is the pound yen. Discuss this. So I need to look at my other charts to show what level I was discussing yesterday. It was 161.23. That high there I was discussing yesterday, 161.23. I'd be looking at those two highs there. All right, for my structure. And to the 4-hour chart. So that's last week's high, just here. We went through last week's high last week. See how we've got all this structure across here. And we're trying to move above and we can't. 4-hour trend's now turning down. The obvious thing to look for is where would it go to? This structure here. It's range bound. If you've sold up there, that's the structure you expect to get price to move down to. Is that making sense for everybody? All right. So you need to do the work. Of course, I'm showing you structure in the live analysis webinars. My charts of yesterday, I was discussing this high here on that pair. I've been discussing, would it fail up here on the pound dollar? I just use my support line, but I could color code. I could put a little color band in there if I really wanted to. If you find it easier to color it in, that's the way to go. But over time, I've just got my eyes trained that much that I don't need to color it in really. It's more for you guys, so you can see how I'm coming up with the tops or the bottoms as we drop it down into the 4-hour chart. All right. So let's see what time. We're almost at the top of the hour. Slavi is talking about the Aussie dollar. So let's have a look at the Aussie. Let's have a look at the Aussie, seeing as it is screaming up, or has been screaming up today. Now, I only have a monthly chart here, but we are at monthly resistance right now, 7106. And this isn't structure, this is just Fibonacci, but it's, it's where structure forms within the Fibonacci range. That high to low is last year's trading range. That's the candle range. We're at 62% level. Been discussing 62% levels for the last month and a half, 2 months, even last year in December. But these pairs are moving up within the range of last year to critical kind of fib levels. So there's lots of going on there at 7106, 7109, that fib level too. And Slime, you're talking about a double top on the weekly chart here, this top here. So that top's at 71.37, so we've been a fraction short, but does that kind of look very similar to what's happening on the New Zealand dollar at the moment, the pound dollar at the moment? This is catching up to the resistance levels. Now, of course, that could move through there, but we're coming up to structure. So 2 levels you want to be watching is 7106 and 7137, monthly, weekly resistance there. Right, trend on the day is up. And of course, we're just getting into that zone today. So the trend's up. We're not going to see a structure change on the daily. Now, we may see a beautiful candle rejection there today. By the end of the day, we'll have to wait and see what it is going to do. All right. 4-hour chart, though, is definitely giving you a rejection up there. So intraday today, well, you definitely have the 4-hour candle entry method. You could break, once that candle's formed, if it's a rejection, you could trade the break, stop above the high. That could be a very significant high forming up there today. Now, if we move down, as we're looking at this 4-hour chart, which is in an uptrend, do expect support in the short term to come in this area. See those lows there? That's where the intra support area is on the 4-hour chart there. I'd expect some form of a bounce there if we got down to that level. If this is a major top and reverse down, it'll probably have a bounce down. It's a little bit below the 69 level, 68.71 to about, I don't know, 68.60. All right, so, now if you knew, this was back to the weekly chart, monthly, weekly levels there. If you know those levels are there, even though this is screaming up on the back of inflation news, all right, there's a high chance we could reverse down from there. 15-minute chart. It is breaking down. All right. Now, this may get choppy. It's been choppy through here. It's been choppy through here. We may break down. I always like it when it breaks down and then comes back up. All right. So if today we could trade down, what I'll be looking for tomorrow is price to come up and retest this area. Because if it does trade down today, okay, it's telling you that that monthly, weekly area at the top, sellers are there because they obviously pushed it down yesterday. So then that's the area where the sellers are. So then you'll be looking in that area tomorrow for a retest, okay, and a failure. All right. So I watched that area. We can review that tomorrow in the webinar, live market analysis webinar. And while we're talking about reversals, I don't know what this Aussie yen will do over the next couple of days, but we're at 62% level. We traded up to weekly resistance here at 92.59. All right, so the trend on the weekly is down, lower bottom to a lower top. We're coming back up to a broken level of support. We've hit it today. I'm going to drop it down to the day chart. It coincides with the 62% level, or close to, just in the vicinity there. All right, high odds area for failure today. And the other thing I was looking at for our charts, let's squash it in. High of last month is there. The 62 level of the weekly price range, the 79% level of last month's candle range overlap together here. All right, so I know we've gone through because of the volatility of the news, but by the end of the day, if we're below that area, we may well see a retest tomorrow of that weekly resistance to form a lower top on the 4-hour, okay? As we've been doing the webinar, this has been selling off nicely. I've got my other screen. So that's a definite area I'm watching at the moment for failure. Just come all the way back up to weekly structure. 62% retracement, 79% area on the monthly candle, okay? So you can watch that. It is still kind of uptrendy there, isn't it? Higher top, but it's traded into a very nice level. All right, so it'd be interesting to see, it's going back to the Aussie, be interesting to see, obviously, if this forms a double top of some form up here, the Aussie yen could well follow the movement down on the Aussie dollar if that's what wants to occur, okay? So we can review that tomorrow. So a very nice level this could be the high of the year, all right? And I've said this before, that was the year before's high to low, just there. And then we moved down in January to there. Then we traded up to the 62 level to move down, all right? Now, in the new year, that's last year's high to low. We're at the 62% level once more of the yearly candle range. When we did that last year, we traded all the way down. So this is definitely an area where the market could definitely put in the year's high. Okay? You only get one chance to sell the year's high, don't you, in a year? So over the next week, we start to change trend up there. That could be the yearly high. Definitely a great area to start to look for a major change in trend. So we'll monitor that. All right, everybody, hopefully you got some good information there that you can go away. All I can say is you have to put the time and effort in to, you know, if you can become like a guru at understanding structure, it's going to elevate your trading to no end. All right. So don't just pass over what we've gone through tonight lightly. I've shown you countless examples of where it's all failing at structure at the moment, potentially on, you know, some pairs. New Zealand dollar for one, pound dollar on another, pound dollar up there. Again, this could be the high of the year. We could go all the way back down here. I know this seems like so far away that we could never get down there this year. Now we're so high up, but we got that. You know, we were higher than this last year at some point. Back here in April, we're up here, and we went all the way down there. So we can definitely get down there this year, and this could definitely be where the high of the year is forming right now. All right, so you know, July time we can discuss whether or not this is the potential high of the year. Of course, at the moment it's too early to tell. All right, everybody, coming up tomorrow on the webinar front, we just have live market analysis. Don't know why that's in Chinese, but it is Australia Day in Australia, but I know some of you aren't in Australia. So if you're not in Australia, it's not Australia Day for you, but I will be working tomorrow, Australia Day, tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. New South Wales, Sydney time, more live market analysis and market still moving away, moving up and down. So I'll be doing some work tomorrow in between a barbecue. All right, so if you're in Australia, have a great Australia Day tomorrow. Thanks very much for tuning out today. If you've got time, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you're too busy on Australia Day, well, I will forgive you. Other than that, thanks very much for turning out, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow if you've got the time.